Hi everyone, welcome back to Best Recapped Movie Channel. Gomorrah is the name of a 2008 Italian crime and drama film that won the Cannes Award we are showing you today. The film is directed by Matteo Garrone and is based on the truth. Beware spoilers ahead. In the summer of 2004 in Naples, some gangsters relax in a tanning salon. An assassination occurs between the Di Loro Gomorrah syndicate clans that rule Scampia Scondigliano, starting the Scampia feud. Don Ciro is a timid middleman who distributes money to the families of imprisoned Di Loro clan members. Toto is a 13-year-old boy who works for his mother in a grocery store. His mother gives him the customers' purchases to deliver to their homes. On the way, he meets his friend Simone, who says he is at work and asks Toto to give her some food, but Toto says it is for customers. On the way, Toto sees a group that distributes drugs in exchange for money. He delivers the purchases of one of the customers named Maria. He asks Maria to settle the account with his mother. Don Ciro distributes the money to the pensioners and the families of the prisoners. One of them, Don Carlo, an older man, talks about having a 40-year-old unemployed son and that his wife is now in prison and asks Don Ciro to give him more money. Don Ciro says, "I will inform them." They take place in and around the residential buildings of Scampia in Naples. The local smuggling gang is also on guard at the top of the building. Marco and Ciro are two young wannabe gangsters who try to operate their small racket independently of the local clan. These two excited young people recreate the scenes of Hollywood movies and see themselves in the place of the stars of those movies. Under the pretext of buying from African immigrants, they steal drugs from them, which is an introduction to their hooliganism and rebelliousness. Franco is a businessman who offers a toxic waste landfill and works with Gomorrah families, importing carcinogens from all over the EU by falsifying importation documents and disregarding safety procedures. Roberto is a graduate who works in waste management. Roberto works for Franco, and they orchestrate the illegal disposal of waste at abandoned quarries and other environmentally sensitive sites. After stealing from African immigrants, Ciro and Marco have a small party and engage in dancing. The word of the incident gets to the local mob chieftain, who summons them and warns them under threat of violence not to repeat such behavior in the future. They ignore him and make fun of him. Pasquale is an haute couture tailor. He works for Enzo, a garment factory owner with ties to the Gomorrah. He talks to Enzo about the details of the beautiful dress he designed, and the Chinese are also present and visiting. He and Enzo attend an auction to get orders. Enzo succeeds in taking the order, but Pasquale is upset about the order. A Chinese named Xian meets Pasquale and asks him to secretly teach them how to sew clothes, and in return, they give him cash. Pasquale leaves without answering his request. Around the residential houses of Scampia, the police try to arrest the local mob, but one of them throws away the gun and drugs and runs away, but Toto sees it and takes the gun and cocaine. He, who is very interested in joining the mob, hands over guns and cocaine to them and asks them for work. The head of the group, who is satisfied with Toto's work, tells him, "I will let you know." Toto joins a local mob, and the group leader puts a bulletproof vest on him and shoots him in the chest to increase his courage. He touches the bullet wound on his chest as if he is no longer afraid of these things. After that, Toto goes to his friend Simone, who guards building. They have a conversation about piercings, and Toto says he would like his eyebrows pierced. Don Ciro gives her a share of Maria's money. Since Maria's husband is in prison and she is alone, he helps her with the kitchen plumbing problems. On the other hand, Roberto says goodbye to his father at the airport with Franco. They go to Venice while his father talks about the importance of his son's work and is happy that his son is not unemployed and working for Franco. After saying goodbye, Roberto and Franco go to the flight while Roberto's father has a concern in his eyes. Franco makes a deal with one of the parties for half the price of the landfill, and Franco also lies to him about the cleanliness of the waste according to American standards. Roberto tries to convince Franco to bury the waste in the quarries. Hence, there is less environmental damage, but Franco disagrees, saying these mines are small. Franco talks about making 10 deals with the Gomorrah families. Roberto looks around, and then Franco tells him they will go on more trips together. Marco and Ciro spy on Gomorrah gangsters who are hiding weapons. After they leave, Ciro and Marco find the hidden weapons, and their confidence rises. In a deserted part of a lagoon, they surprisingly start shooting while taking off their clothes while being very excited. At another point in the story, Enzo leaves the company, but Pasquale is still busy even though it's late. He decides to go to Xian's Chinese liaison, and after meeting him, he is welcomed and served dinner. Xian and his men hide him in the trunk of a car to secretly transport him to train their personnel. When he entered the Chinese company, the staff cheered Pasquale and called him master. When he encounters this scene, he gets excited and starts his training. He goes home in the morning when his wife and child are sleeping, and after his wife wakes up, he gives her his salary and praises the Chinese. Maria talks to Don Ciro about her son leaving her and wanting to join the separatists. She says her son believes that they are winning the local war, but Don Ciro says that she has to stop him. After that, we see that Toto is separating from his friend Simone. He joined another group and says that they are enemies now and they might kill each other one day. However, they say goodbye to each other. Toto is now part of the mob. He and the others go to the clothing store, and he buys his favorite clothes. He then sees the people who pack and use the cocaine in the room, and once it is ready, he takes over the responsibility of distributing it. When his mother sees him with one of the mobsters, he gets out of the car, and his mother says that the fact that she endured his father's problems is enough for her. On the other hand, Roberto and Franco investigate the garbage dump. After realizing that the workers have stopped working, they go toward them. Roberto finds out because of the driver's strike because last night, a tanker containing toxic substances was dumped on one of the drivers. Seeing that the drivers quit and no one else knows how to drive, Franco goes to some local children to use them to drive the truck. He and Roberto give the children a pillow to see better when driving because of their short stature. Don Ciro meets with one of the tribespeople and gets a new list of people he has to pay, which does not include Maria because of her son. After that, Don Ciro is threatened by the two separatists who have changed their factions to give them the list while paying the money. Marco and Ciro are playing in a club when suddenly Marco says that they have run out of money and insistently forces Ciro to steal from the club. After the robbery, they go to a brothel, but the Gomorrah people attack them there. They were informed about the theft of the weapons, and after the beating, they were given a day to return the guns. They have hidden the guns in the forest, and after they take them out, Marco, who is very angry, decides to kill the Gomorrah people with the guns. Ciro says that if we don't think about the consequences, we will be killed and won't see our adulthood, but Marco insists. The Gomorrah people report that the two young men have not returned the weapons. Their boss decides to kill them, but Zio, an influential person in the Gomorrah, opposes it because killing Marco and Ciro might ruin the clan's image. He accepts their responsibility and promises to correct Marco and Ciro. Toto brings her Maria's order as he notices that she has turned off all the lamps and the house is dark. Terrified after the threat, Don Ciro puts on a bulletproof vest. He meets Maria outside, who wants to talk, but Don Ciro ignores her. Maria says she was threatened to leave here but doesn't want to betray her son. Don Ciro, who still ignores him, says I have nothing to do. Pasquale continues his work in teaching clothing design to the Chinese. Enzo goes to the accountant to receive money. Still, during a conversation, the accountant tells him that his partner Pasquale sold himself to the Chinese. In one of these secret trips, the Gomorrah people assassinate Xian and their car crashes. Pasquale is also seriously injured. In the hospital, Enzo talks to Pasquale about the fact that he saved his life from the Gomorrah people. Still extremely upset, Pasquale ignores him and tells him to consider another tailor. After that, Toto and his friend are having fun in the street when suddenly, two people from the opposite side riding a motorcycle assassinate Toto's friend. When his body is taken to the mortuary, the rest of the mob talks about his death. They blame Maria's son for their friend's death and instead decide to assassinate Maria. Since they know that Maria trusts Toto, they ask Toto to help them in this operation. While shocked, Toto asks him to specify his direction, and Toto agrees. He brings Maria to the front door under the pretext of wanting to talk to her, and they immediately kill Maria. With the presence of the police around the Scampia buildings, Don Ciro, who sees the situation as chaotic, decides to go to the two separatists who threaten him. After he meets them, he asks them to help him so that he is not killed in this war. But he says that Don Ciro is in the middle of the war and they will not kill him only in exchange for revealing the money. Don Ciro make a deal with them on this. During the distribution of money, the Gomorrah group, who Don Ciro betrayed, is attacked and killed by those two people. Those two people also kill everyone except Don Ciro and leave a little money on the table for him. Ciro then comes out of the room with a lot of terror and flees the area. On the other hand, Franco and Roberto visit a villager in a bad financial situation. They demand an increase in the cost of preparing their land for landfill, but Franco refuses. They are forced to give their other lands to Franco in a deal to support themselves. Roberto, who came out, encounters an old farmer woman who is not in the right senses and calls him his son. Franco leaves the house and tells Roberto we must go, but the older woman gives them a box of peaches before leaving with kindness. On the way, Franco asks Roberto to throw away the peaches because of their foul smell. Roberto, who knows that the foul smell of peaches is due to the dumping of toxic waste, throws the peaches away and thinks about the villagers and Franco's work. He tells Franco he will no longer work with him because he has a different personality. Franco leaves Roberto after being humiliated. Later, Pasquale, working as a truck driver, is in a transport cafe where he spots Scarlett Johansson on TV wearing one of his dresses. He smiles wryly as he drives away. Marco and Ciro are in a bar when Zio approaches them. Zio asks them not to continue Kozrin's hooliganism and to work under his protection. He promises them money, motorbikes, and other facilities, but Marco does not accept and says, "We want to work for ourselves." After that, Zio approaches them with a little pause and offers them a job. He asks Marco and Ciro to kill Pepe, the horseman, for betraying him and gives them 2,000 euros in return. Ciro and Marco, who love these things, accept it. Zio even gives them an advance payment. They find the location of Pepe, the horse rider, by chasing him. Marco is hesitant and does not get off the motorcycle. Still, with Ciro's insistence, they continue. An ambush behind the surrounding walls to kill Pep, the horse rider, unaware that Pepe and all his people are present. They are informed. Suddenly, Pepe's men shoot them from behind. After seeing Zio, Pepe says we have wasted all this time for two newly arrived children. At the movie's end, their bodies are removed by a loader, and the loader moves to the beach. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.